another person that that influenced you, because you've mentioned it before, was Malcolm X, and he spoke a lot about this. And just recently, uh, I know there was a like a documentary. I don't know if it was on Netflix or something that came up
Yeah.
where it showed like who killed him, and you had just recently posted something about that. One of the people that said that they did kill him just admitted it on their deathbed. Can you speak a little bit to how Malcolm X influenced you, and how this new news shines a little bit to what you're saying, that people get infiltrated when they're real
Yeah.
threats, they sometimes they get infiltrated.
Yeah, definitely. We got to remember that, all of us, that whenever there's a movement, Tea Party, Occupy Wall Street, whatever, um, a lot of times they start off genuine and then they turn into something else. Black Lives Matter. They start off genuine and then they get infiltrated. They get so that way they can be demonized. And so this is a play. This is a play out of the government's playbook, and we have to pick up on that. We have to recognize that. But I have always grown up knowing about Martin Luther King and hearing about him. In school, they didn't really say much about Malcolm X. It was always Martin Luther King. And, just always knowing that Martin Luther King was about nonviolence and, equality. And I noticed that Ron Paul over the years used to always give shout outs to Martin Luther King. And on his birthday, he would always talk about him or mention him. And so I always remember hearing about Martin and how he was about peace and equality and equal rights and things like that. Well, I vaguely, maybe our here and there might have heard things from Malcolm X or might have saw little quotes here and there, but never really dove into what he was about or really listened to him. Well, one year, my girlfriend and my daughter left to go see her family in Philadelphia, and so I was home by myself. I don't know, for like a week or a few days or something while they were out of town. So you know how us guys are. We don't really get to control the TV much when our girl is is home, right? Because we gotta let them watch what they want to watch most of the time. So I had the TV to myself, so I could put anything I wanted on. So I was like thinking, like, man, what do I want to watch? Like, what? And I just decided to check out Malcolm X. I was like, let me just see, let me check out. And YouTube got a lot of videos of him. And man, let me tell you, Malcolm X, he brought that fire back in me. I would say like what Ron Paul did, but more. Because Ron Paul, don't get me wrong, I think Ron Paul, I think I got more from Ron Paul because I think Ron Paul has more of he can identify the problems and the solutions better than almost anybody. So I think I picked up more from Ron Paul. But Ron Paul don't have that fire in his belly. He don't like Malcolm X will have you ready to die. Like you listen to Malcolm X for like an hour, and he have you like ready to go fight to the death. Like that's the type of like feeling he'll put in your belly. Like the way he talks, the way that he breaks things down, the way that he explains it, it's like no other. And what I realized was that Martin Luther King was not really like Ron Paul or like the founders, like what Ron Paul and the libertarians were talking about. Malcolm X was. Now, obviously, the founders were racist and they had slaves and all that stuff. So I don't mean in that way, but I mean in a freedom way. The same way the founders were not about peace and nonviolence to obtain freedom, that's what Malcolm X was about. Not Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was about peace and turning the other cheek, and being passive and, loving your enemy. Whereas Malcolm X was telling me, F that. You don't love your enemy. They're the problem. They don't deserve to have a peaceful approach. They're oppressing you, And he started calling out even Martin Luther King and the black leaders, and he started like exposing how they were just really watering down the movement, where Malcolm X was waking up the black masses, and they were really becoming revolutionaries, like militant mind. Getting their act together, not drinking and smoking, becoming militant and learning karate and all these things. Like he was like taking them on a whole nother level, right? Because Malcolm X was like, hey, if we want freedom, we get it the same way the white man got it. Same way Jefferson and George Washington got it, that's how we got it. And I always wondered, well, recently in the last few years, I always wondered why Ron Paul never brought up Malcolm X, and he always brought up Martin Luther King, because when you listen to them, Malcolm X is much more along the lines of libertarianism than Martin ever was. So And so Malcolm, that weekend or that few days, you know, just like you two, when I was on there for a weekend, Malcolm did it again, and I just was glued to my TV screen. I was just like, oh my goodness, yo, this dude is on fire. Like, I mean, I'll give you one example, man. He was in a church talking, and before he was giving his speech, 3 people had gotten killed, 2 black guys and a white guy. They were fighting for African Americans to have voting rights. So they were registering, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody can go back and check the story. I posted on my Facebook page too. But they were helping blacks get voting rights, helping blacks register to vote and all that. And white racists, I think this was happening in the South, they obviously didn't like that, you know, KKK and all that. Well, I don't know if it was a KKK or if it was just racist or whoever, but those 3 men got killed, right? And Malcolm X and everybody knew why they got killed. They got killed because they were helping blacks to get their voting rights. And in church, in the congregation, you know, you're in church, God, the Lord's house, in front of a congregation. And Malcolm X said, we need to put a hit out on him. On the people that killed our 2 black brothers and the people that killed our white brother that was helping us. He was talking about putting a hit in church. I mean, this is like, I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, wow, yo, this is a preacher telling black people, what's up? Are we ready? Are we gonna go? And I mean, to be talking like that when you knew what you was dealing with, when you knew you're dealing with the KKK, you're dealing with violent white racists that are connected to the government, protected to the government. You're dealing with the FBI, the CIA. I mean, he had the FBI come to his house and try to get him to sell out. The Muslims burned down his house with his family in it. I mean, and for him to still come out and speak like that. And I consider myself, you know, a true libertarian that speaks out, and I love liberty and freedom. But I just don't think I could ever put myself in the same shoes as that brother. Like, that dude just, even right now talking to you, dude, like I get overwhelmed with emotion just thinking about Malcolm X, because the dude is just, we lost a good one, yo.